morning, sort of. It's not raining at the moment. It's a little dark outside, but it seems to be okay. We're starting a little bit early. I had actually intended to start even earlier than this, but I had some troubles. For some reason, on the one screen, when I go to type something, it inserts weird characters just by itself. And so I was having trouble logging in and stuff. So I don't know what's causing that. I guess we'll have that to look at afterwards. But the reason we're getting started early is because we do have a hotfix coming in very shortly. Uh, Let me just put out a tweet. Uh, Call that up. Uh, so we probably will be seeing some in-game announcements here probably within the hour that they will be shutting down for that hotfix. If it was a short hotfix, I probably would just go ahead and wait and stream after that. But by reading the announcement of it, it appears it's going to be about 45 minutes, so it could end up being longer. It's to fix some issues with some of the spells. I don't know if it's primarily to do with PvP or what, but apparently certain abilities are misfiring, giving an error for illegal spell casts and things. I saw some chatter on the forums yesterday about it after we had our other update, and then later we had another hotfix. But this one apparently is going to come in and fix several of those issues. There's also some other issues that they're talking about, but they won't be able to address those until the next one. So if you want to see more about that, just check out the game updates. I think it's in, or maybe it's in the announcement section, where Conguero lists out all that's going to be addressed and what's going to be futurely addressed. And of course, you can follow WildStar Ops on Twitter for any updates on that. But it's supposed to land today at 12 a.m. PST, which is 9 a.m. CET time. So, like I said, we got just about over an hour, which works out okay. That's kind of about how long our streams have been anyway, so that's good. Hey, Poi, good morning, and thank you for those that have been hosting my channel a little bit more regularly lately. I appreciate it. Let's see, in addition to the hotfix, I do want to mention that there will be uh, a dungeon chase event that they're going to be hosting on their the WildStar official Twitch channel. It's going to be Pepulicious and Jonathan, aka Talking Congas, or Conguero if you know him by his forum name. They're going to be playing through the Dungeon Chase event that is going to be kicking off. That's today as well, apparently, and that's 1 p.m. PST. I didn't convert it to the CET time. Just use World Time Buddy on Google, and you can quickly figure that out. Let's see, was there anything else? We did get some new shop additions, which included a new fall-themed park/garden fab kit. I was kind of disappointed to see that it was just a fab kit. I haven't really looked in the shop to see, so let's just have a quick look. I don't know if it's just signature only or what. I know the mount stuff is, and the new costume, but I believe it's just we get a preview and then later it will kick over to everyone. So if you aren't signature, don't despair. Most of the time these things will kick over to general population after a given period. That is what just happened with the Dominion Builders Kit. It's been on the signature page or signature station for a little bit of time now, and they just kicked it over to regular players. So it's just we get a nice bit of a first peek, first touch at it. It's not anything specific. Okay, it looks like the Autumn Park Fab Kit is directly on the general purchase thing. So that was the only thing that I'm kind of fussy about. It's just the Fab Kit. I didn't see any kind of uh, decor packs like fall, like the topiaries being in. They have the topiary decor pack, but they don't have the trees and stuff, which comes on that lovely autumn, like these trees here. It kind of looks like the green ones that you get, the green swirly trees, and then they're also in these nice browns and oranges, and some of the bushes and things. But yeah, there you go. So it's a little autumn park. If you have a fall themed plot, that might be a nice addition to it. Now, for those that have their builds already in place and are hesitant about replacing a fab kit or just simply removing one or adding one that wasn't there before, if you're using Katya's Builder Toolkit add-on, there is a way for you to kind of have it fix whatever it gets knocked off or removed in the process. I've talked about this way in the past, but I just wanted to remind folks that there is an option to do that. It's through the kind of hidden uh, uh, commands where I think it's you take a snapshot, it's like /K snapshot of your plot. Say like I wanted to add a fab kit here, and it might disrupt some of the things that I've already got placed. I would take a case snapshot, then I would place whatever it is I want to place or remove or switch out or whatever it happens to be. And whatever got removed, all I have to do is after that do the K reconstruct command, and that will put back everything that was already there. I did that with my main plot, the Protoplaza Mall. When I inserted the Protostar Winterfest fab kit, the little house there in the back, just behind the mall thing. It actually knocked out all of the walls and some of the glass uh, from the main structure. And when I did the commands I just mentioned, the K reconstruct and the K snapshot to take a picture before I did it, it just quickly replaced those items. It only, what it is, it's like taking a quick uh, picture of what it looks like before you mess with it, and then you can restore it if it messes up. It's just a temporary kind of save file. It's not something that stays permanently, from what I understand it. So it's not like you can take a K snapshot today and then like weeks later do a K reconstruct. It won't. I don't think it remembers it that far. It's just kind of a quickie thing that you can do. Like if you know you're going to be making a significant change, maybe you're going to be moving around sections of your plot and you're afraid it might kind of go boof a little bit, then use the K snapshot and the K reconstruct during that time, just to kind of rebuild if it messes up beyond what you expect. So yeah, it is possible, but again, it's kind of a hidden command kind of thing. It's not something that you hit a little button on her add-on. You actually have to type it into the chat, the slash commands. I've asked for like a comprehensive listing of all of those slash commands, but never heard back from her on that. So just one of those things that I try to pass along periodically when I hear people talking about the trouble it is to replace a fab kit. And it's troublesome, and it's, again, you have to use the add-on. If you don't have the add-on, then it's maybe not something you can consider, obviously, but one thing we tell new builders is if they're thinking about using fab kits, plan that out in advance. It saves you a lot of heartache and trouble later if you just plan comfortably ahead. If you know what fab kits you want, lay those down first thing. Don't wait until you've already started building, because especially if you're someone that doesn't use the CATIA toolkit add-on, definitely do that beforehand. Get that in place and then work around it. I'll see, is there anything else? Don't think so. Of course, there is the Dungeon Chase event. I think it starts today and runs through, I'm not really sure. Let me check the website real quick. Uh, there is a new update for the lore, the enemies and allies update. You can check the website for that if you're interested in the lore stuff. Dungeon Chase event is November 11th through the 21st, so that's a pretty good amount of time. Again, as I mentioned before, there's the little like decor packs and it's got like NPCs and materials, building blocks, and it also includes pets and mounts and other things, costume pieces. So if you're into any of that, or have a friend that's into any of that, and you know that they don't have access to maybe getting to those dungeons as frequently or as reliably as you, and you want to help them out, this is a great opportunity to get into those dungeons and grab some of that. I think it's called Big Game Cash. That is the event currency, and dabble in that. I'm hoping I get a hold of some of it, but lately I've just been feeling so poorly. It hasn't been an option. I don't stick in game too long. In fact, yesterday I had to cancel the stream, as most of you that regularly join in are aware. Went to the doctor. I've been upgraded from virus to bacteria, so now I'm on a regimen of antibiotics for the next week. I think she's just hoping that this will kick whatever has been bogging me down, but I feel pretty good this morning, but yesterday all I did was sneeze all day, and it was very awful. But yeah, it's just, I guess it's that time of year to be yucky. Okay, so I think that's all the announcements. Last time we left, we had worked on the eye, and I kind of purposely took my own little snapshots of the progress of the eye. So this is what we started with the first time you saw it. I had just built the basics of the eye. I hadn't even really gotten into much of the detail. It was just the pupil, the iris, and a little bit of the highlighting and outline. And then I think it was Tuesday that we added in the eyebrow and some of the lid part, started really building up the eye. Well, as it happens, after that, I went to work on it and tried to give some simulation of eyelashes. I outlined a little bit of thing, trying to give in like some shading and stuff. Um, you can see I readjusted a lot of things. I even adjusted the shape of the eyebrow. I even changed the size of the canvas. I felt there was just too much space around the eye. I felt like if I left it, then I would have to be like maybe indicating where the nose is or something, or like some hair. And I just wanted to focus on the eye. So basically all I did is I resized some of the boxes that were being used for the flesh around the eye, the lid parts. In some places, I ended up using different sections of the box to kind of darken it up just a little bit. Again, I was trying to add some kind of shading because this looked way too pale to me just by itself. You'll also see that I added a secondary green color to the iris of the eye. Basically, the bottom part, or the main that I had over here, is the leafy stalk 2. The darker one is the leafy stalk 1. The bottoms of them, they have a very distinct difference in shade of the green, so it kind of worked out all right. Because again, I was just trying to give a little bit of depth difference to it. I used hanging cables for some of the trim, not necessarily like the eyeliner, but just the edges where like maybe the eyelashes were a little thicker, also to give a better outline of like where I guess where the tear duct and stuff would be. It's not perfect. I really am not too terribly happy with it, but it's all I could come up with. For the eyelashes, I ended up going with the Barbed Fence Protostar. It's very awkward to work with because it's basically a straight line. kind of deal, and it only allows me just the positioning and the size that I wanted it at. I can only use like 2 pieces of that whole fence, and it poked out in different places where I don't really want it to poke out, but and of course, I know some will go, well, why didn't you curve it, make some curvy lashes? The part of that is because the image that I was using as a reference, that one was more kind of a direct on, and it wasn't like a model kind of picture. It was just a natural eye. So it wasn't really lush and long and overly done like you would see like a Maybelline commercial or something where they have these huge, you know, feather style lashes or whatever. So I didn't want to get too um, elaborate on that. Plus, again, this is exactly 50 items right here. So you can imagine if I tried to put in each lash individually, how quickly that would go past the limit. So I just had to use something that would allow me to have several pieces come through, but not be too much. So that's what I ended up with. Again, I'm not terribly happy with it, but it's the best I could do within the confines of the challenge and my limited imagination as far as what items I was looking through and what I thought would work. Like I said, I did try like the spiked coffin. I thought that might be usable, but at the size that I needed the lashes, the spikes just became almost invisible. Even with the fence pieces, I tried several different varieties of those. I had the same problem. At the size I needed to make them so you didn't see all of the fence and just the spiky parts, it pretty much disappeared. In fact, there's quite a few fences here, but you can almost not even see it. You have to look at it from the side or from the top to even notice that they're there. And that's again because just the shading of them and the size, it really kind of muffles the strokes of it, I guess. So that was the eye. I know most of the time I try to keep the builds to the streams, but sometimes it's just not convenient, and especially like if I miss a stream, it's even more so. Um, Speaking of miss, I will say right now that I won't be here Monday. There is a special gathering early Monday morning that I am hoping to attend. Um, and I just won't be able to hang on. I think I'm going to be totally ready to crash afterwards, so I don't think I'm going to be able to hang on for a stream that morning. So my apologies in advance on that, but I promise it's for a good reason. Um, but we will be back Tuesday. So it's nothing to do with my sickness stuff. It's just I have a prior commitment that I have promised I would be there, and I'm going to do my best to follow through on it. So, okay, so I said we would start with this little blob here, but I think we're going to work with this. I started this yesterday, I think it was. Um, Hedgehogs around here are kind of a thing. I don't know if it's like the national uh, pet kind of, national animal or what, but I think it was maybe a few years after I was living here that I actually saw a hedgehog. We had one show up in our backyard, and they're the cutest little things. Um, I want to say that I don't know if they're actually a relative of the porcupine, but that's what it reminds me of because of the way they look. So I thought I would try and make one out of this stuff that we have. So I was desperately looking for something that would work as the spiky parts of it, and I went with the thorny log pile. It's the brown one, kind of to match the brown of the parts of the body that I decided to use. It's just domes. It's just multiple domes all the way up through the tip of his nose. They had like that little, not like anteater type, but it's kind of reminds me of that. It's a little pointed nose. And so that's what we're going to try and finish up today before we get booted off. Because again, it's like less than an hour now that they're going to be messaging to say that they're going to be shutting down for that hot fix. The hot fix is only supposed to last about 45 minutes, I think. Let me double check that. Yeah, it says approximately 45, so hopefully that's doesn't go any longer than that. And thanks, boy. I hope to have a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say what it is, but so I don't know if they're wanting to keep it kind of a surprise or not. Um, but we'll see. Anywho, let me. I've got a picture reference saved here if I can figure out what I did with it. There we go. Move to new window. Yeah, we'll just put that there. Hey Kruja, good morning. Glad you could join. Something to do before the realms go down. Again, if you want to get some playtime in before the hotfix, by all means, don't feel like you're required to stick around here. I know a lot of folks like to go in, check their auction house stuffs and all of that, so don't feel obligated. I completely understand if you'd rather go ahead and play for a little bit and then watch this later if you want. That's perfectly acceptable. Don't want to feel like I'm cutting in on anybody's playtime, because if by some horror kind of thing the fix doesn't go as planned, they might be down for longer than anticipated, and that would be pretty bad for some folks that are limited time anyway. So basically all I did is I took one set of logs, I put it right in the middle here, and then I just started drawing some lines, sort of. I did like a mohawk down all the way from the front to the back. And then I did a front, like a fan shape, because I don't know if you know what a hedgehog looks like, but it's like the face is all kind of bare, and then there's just spikes. It's just nothing but spikes. Notice I don't have a podium yet, or a pedestal or whatever. I decided to build him straight up first, and then we'll see what we're going to put him on. But as I've been doing this, I've been kind of changing like how far the pieces stick out. I haven't been changing the size. I've kept it all the same size. I just changed the depth that they are poking out. That's the only thing. And I really haven't been turning them. I've just left them the same position as, I mean, you can see it's pretty much just very samey. A lot of times when I'm going for a more natural look, I'll twist and turn them, and I may do that later, but I think it will look okay with it very uniform like this. I don't think that will pose a problem. Now, you'll probably say, well, most of this you're covering up with these spikes. Why do you need the dome? Because part of it is actually showing here. Now, I may end up covering that. I don't know yet. But I figured we'll just take it one step at a time and see how it goes. See, I think I missed one. Let me do that again. Might be too much of a gap between these two rows. In fact, I think I'm going to push this in a bit. Now, if you're using the domes as kind of a guide for like we did with the white tree that we made a while back, or like a hill, like for the top of this plot in particular, placing the grasses or the flowers or whatever it happens to be directly on the surface, just free without the advanced mode on, that's much easier. Whoops, that's really off. But with this, I don't think I can get away with that simply because of how they're placed anyway. So like if I took this one, well, let's do this one here. If I tried to, well, move it to the side so I can grab the right one. See how it lays it flat? That won't work. But for like the plants and stuff, those work nicely if you have a dome. Shrink that down a bit. See, I don't know if I have any flowers. Well, let's just say you want to like build a little mound of like the yellow flowers or whatever it happens to be, but it starts at a base. You just line those up like so, and then sink it down to whatever you want, like that. Oops. But like say you want to make sure that it follows the curve of the dome, then just grab the copy, do that again, and just turn it that way. You can kind of grab it while it's not advanced mode directly off of the main, but I find it easier to move it off first. And see how it follows the curve itself. It just does it. It's just an example, but you know, obviously you would use more to fill it in better, but for this particular piece that's not possible because of the way the item lays in originally. You see I'm still adjusting like depth of it, you know, how far out should the spikes be, that kind of thing. It's like putting on a head of hair is basically what you're doing. And I'm sure other items would probably be much easier to do that with. But again, I kind of wanted these little spiky bits. They're not uniform like the animal itself would probably be, but I'm hoping it's still workable. Okay, so we got all that part filled in. Let's work on the other side. Now, if you want to be precise, you can check the angle and everything that you did on the other side. I'm not doing that. It's just going to be just a really quick eyeballing. I'm just guessing about the angles and everything, just really loosey-goosey here. And then once we fill it in, then I'll look at the face and see if we need to make any adjustments there, because the bareness of their face, a lot of the sculptures almost have it like a heart shape. It's like they've got this bare area where the spikes aren't. You know, you got the little beady eyes, and then you got these almost like a heart shape where their face is. And you can see mine's not quite like that, so I may have to make some adjustments. Now, with these sculptures, if you're doing animals and stuff like we've been doing, while for like a museum setting, they work really good as like little statues and stuff. If you want to populate your plot with little critters, you know, a lot of these might work for that, especially if you don't go for like completely just stone kind of builds. Like this will work nicely in a winter plot. Um, these maybe not so much because they look a little, uh, they look like statues because of the materials that are being used, but like maybe some of the bugs and stuff could be used for a plot that has things that, you know, but like this little hedgehog, I think that would work okay. Not sure if I'm going to need another layer all the way around. I just put that down because I'm not clear about what kind of pedestal I'm going to put him on, so it probably depends on that. But if you do plan on maybe using these outside a museum scenario and you're hoping to maybe use them as an actual creature on your plot, I would say go for as realistic as you can get, um, so that when you go to put them on your plot, people will think, oh, well, that looks like this or that, rather than a statue of it. Or they would make nice garden ornaments. You know, gardening isn't just topiaries, they have a lot of sculptures and things in there. So it doesn't have to be inside it like an actual museum building, but you could use them as garden things. There's other buildings like libraries and courtrooms and other things that tend to have sculptures and things as part of theirs, or like maybe you've got a city central, like a city park kind of thing. Again, that would be a good place to have that. I'm just mentioning other uses for them because while we're building these in the with the prospect of them being used in a museum setting, you know, maybe you want to also use them, but you're not quite sure what to do with them. There's other places that you could be using it. Okay, he looks a little squished right here, doesn't he? See if I can bring that out a little bit. Needs some fluffing. There we go, that's a little bit better. Maybe that one needs to go down a little bit. Not perfect. I mean, it looks like it's taller here than it is over here, I think. He's a little lopsided, but you know, just make the adjustments where you think you need to. until you get it about symmetrical, sort of. Like I said, there's going to be places that feel a little shorter, and that would probably be solved if you actually calculated up where things were as opposed to the other side. But because I'm freehanding it, you're going to find some discrepancies between the two sides. Okay, something like that. So now we have his spiky self all sorted. Let's, I guess I need to decide what kind of a platform. I'm just gonna grab this one here. I could have put that as a set. I'm just lazy, not doing that this morning. So I'm just gonna eyeball where this needs to go as well. I'll link this to the bottom one. I'm gonna raise this up just to see about how the pieces are sticking out. I think we might go ahead and go for that extra layer. Now you see this one, it's actually sticking through the pedestal, so you may want to adjust that a little bit. Oops, didn't mean to drag that around. Again, using this solid pedestal helps to hide all of the bottoms of those thorny log piles. Whereas if you were to build it on something that was more like a glass kind of table type of thing, you might have trouble with that. Now, if you make something like, for example, the peacock, that actually could fit on any of these surfaces as long as it's a narrow style column so that it doesn't mess up where the tail is strumming through. But really just depends on how you build your item on whether or not you can get away with using, but I prefer using the solid ones because again I have that safety of being able to hide some of it down inside there. A lot of logs. I have no idea how many pieces we've already used. I have a fear that it's going to be pretty high. We'll see though. It may just end up being too much. I think maybe what, one more? Now I'm not going to be worrying about his little feet. I'm just going to imagine that they're tucked up underneath there somewhere. There's other poses you can make. Some of them show him where he's on his back and he's got his feet and his little paws um, all out and exposed, his little underbelly. But I'm taking the simplest pose where it's just his face and spiky body. Oops. Didn't mean to click that. Okay, so let's see. I don't think the face is too bad. Yeah, I think adding this bit of wood stuff in here helped kind of narrow that up. So it's not quite, I added this extra one in here to try and kind of give that little indent for the heart. I don't think it worked as well as I would have hoped, but about as close as I'm going to get. Now he's got some, I'm using a pretty dark brown for his body, and but I see them in all different shades. I've seen them in grays, light browns, gray stone, even almost white. Mostly I wanted like a different coloring between the logs. You know, while this is brown and this is brown, it's clearly two different kinds of browns, so that helps that. But what I'm getting at is he's got these black little beady eyes, and they don't really have like the whites of the eyes like a human eye would. So at least not what I'm seeing in all of these statues. They just leave it a little black beady eye. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the tank and we're going to see just how well it shows up against this brown. Looks like I just smashed his face in with a tank there, but I think we want that bigger. Maybe not that big, but we'll get to it. If I can get the little thing to curve the way I want. So it shows up decently. Not perfect, but again, you're just going for a representation of your creature, animal, object, whatever it happens to be. If you're building a plane, obviously it's not going to, have all the detail that a regular plane would. Yep, there's our first warning. 30 minutes, folks. For the hot fix that is coming in. For any of you that's been having troubles, that's, I'm sure, good news. This is the first time I actually come in since the update that gave us access to cross-faction visiting, which reminds me, I wanted to see, yeah, before we had to actually specify if it was exiles or dominion, and now it's a hot fix, Kuja. It's a hot fix. Scheduled maintenance is always on Wednesdays. This is an actual hot fix that they're going in to fix some spell issues that people have been having. I think it's some slingers, stalkers, and some general issues that people have been having, getting some spell casting errors. Yeah, planet. I think that's what. Let me see. I'll read the description. It's fixing the issue causing certain abilities to misfire given the error. Illegal spell cast is fixing the Stalker's Pounce ability and the Stalker's Ruin T8. There's also a clone ability for the Stalker that they won't be addressing today, but they will be addressing in a later one. Apparently, it's a little tougher issue to fix. And some Esper abilities as well. So they don't specifically name the slinger, but I think that illegal spellcast one is going to cover most of the people. Because like I said, I saw the chatter in the forums about people having issues. So fingers crossed it fixes most, if not all of it. But those last two issues for sure won't be addressed today. They will be addressed in the next one. I don't know if that means Wednesday of next week or what, but I think they're just tackling the most troublesome bits today, at least the bits that they are able to fix right away, and then they will tackle the rest later. Now, I could leave it like this. You can add something for a mouth if you want. I'm not going to because it's already pretty dark and I don't think it's necessary. Um, but there are some ears you could add. So we could like grab one of these domes and give him some ears. Maybe make that a little bigger. That's way too big. It's like Dumbo ears. I don't know how big his ears are actually supposed to be. I'm just putting some in here. Some don't show the ears, so if you want to leave those off, that's perfectly fine too. Again, there's other poses you could try. There's some that have him completely balled up and all you see is like just his little head. You know, he's like balled up but on his back. Others have him kind of laying and have his belly exposed and his feet are there and he's maybe nibbling on something. Some have him actually sitting up on his hind legs, and so he looks a little elongated and almost like a squirrel or a gopher, how they kind of sit up on their haunches, and you can do it that way. But like I said, I just took the easiest pose in the little squat thingy, so there's my little hedgehog. So let's see how many pieces this thing ended up being. We're going to just grab, let's grab his little front of this little mohawk here. And we're going to link all of the logs together. I'm pretty sure it's safe. I didn't use that anywhere else, so we're just going to link that all together. Then we're going to link that to the big part of his head. We're going to do that with the rest of the pieces to the head. That's kind of the trouble with having a limit to how many you're supposed to use. My advice is build with it in mind, but don't, be counting all the way through. Just build whatever you need to build, see where you're at, and if you're a few over, maybe you can get away with kind of removing some things and adjusting their position a little bit, and then get yourself within the limit. Or you may discover, like with the polar bear, you go way over and there's just no room for removing anything. And but you never know. You may find another use for it. Like I said, I'm going to move him to a winter plot later, so it's not for vain, in vain kind of building. Let's see. I'll go ahead and link him to this part. So I think that's everything here. Yep, now he's all one set. So let's see where we're at. Say hedgehog new. Now he's there. We hit the bottom, add linked set. Ooh, he's over quite a bit. 68 pieces. So what I could try and do, which I may do over the weekend, is see if I can remove some of these pieces and rearrange a few. to make it less. But that means I'm going to have to get rid of, what, 18 pieces? That's quite a few. So that'll be my project for this weekend, is to kind of minimize him down to at least 50. I could get rid of 2 by just removing his ears. They're not required. So that was just an addition thing. So I could leave that. I could maybe remove this whole bottom layer and just push him a little further down. It's just I feared that it might interfere with how his face is on the front. I could change the pedestal to a one piece. That's another option. Mostly though, I think it's going to be just readjusting some of this, taking out a few pieces here and there, making them a little bigger, adjusting the position, that kind of thing. Like he's a little gappy here. I may return to the gappiness that was over here. Remember how we kind of filled in some extras? So that's going to take some tweaking on my part, but that will be my goal, is to make him 50 or less. I'll get him to the 50 to the best of my ability. But yeah, let's see. This other one here, I was thinking about trying to turn it into a bunny. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to pull that off. I definitely won't be able to finish today. I'm positive about that, but like I figured this would probably be the rear end here, and this would be the front, and like you could use something white to make a little white puffy cottontail, but we'll have to see. I think I would prefer to leave it all stone. Oh, don't worry about it, Kuja. It's a good challenge. I like having to, but what I wanted to say was, if you build something and it doesn't fit, don't despair. Maybe you'll do like me, like with the polar bear. I think he ended up like 78 pieces altogether, and there's really nothing on him that I want to change, so just have to leave him like he is and use him for something else. But I'm happy I built him, and it was for your competition that I did it, so I probably otherwise wouldn't have even thought about building a polar bear, that's for sure. So let's see. I don't know, what's a good cottontail look like? Maybe a little bigger than that. I think it's the way the hoogle head's sticking out. It makes it look like he's got a little mini head on his rear end there, but let's try the bottom. See, that's too pointed, I think. And strangely dark. And weird. But you can maybe try a duck. This shape here would work well for a duck. Any of the birds. If you want to do a swan, I think that would work too. I think any kind of bird would probably work okay with this. Not just the hoogles. Oh, well, I appreciate that, but we're for the not competition, but for the challenge, we're strictly sticking with the 50. But yeah, I'm letting them know that even if they go over, don't trash it or anything. Show us what it is. But as of yet, I think the only one that's actually built something, I've got something from Seraphin, the one that posted in the forums, in your thread and elsewhere. I know there's 2 there, and Maddie has built a couple of things. Some of them are things that Maddie already had built. But they're also planning to build a new one, so it should be fun to see what comes of it. I haven't heard anyone else actually planning to participate though, so fingers crossed we get some fun stuff. Let's see, I don't know. Rabbit head, let me cancel that. I don't know what a bunny shape really looks like, so I'm just kind of doodling here. I'm just kind of passing the time as we get ready to head into maintenance. Oh, that's going to look wrong because of the Hoogle face. If you have this and you're wanting to hide that part, easiest way, it's going to cost you though, is to just double it up and turn it and do it like that. That's the only way I know how to cover it up, or use it in ways so that maybe the face is face down, that kind of thing. But like I said, that's costly because of you having to double up. So try to avoid that as much as you can, if at all possible. I don't know what this is turning into. He's looking pretty strange to me. I don't like that. Some weird little slug bug. For ears, you could use the bottom end, I guess, since it's kind of pointed. But again, you may be tempted to double up on it to hide that hide the Hoogle face is going to be showing in the back. Now you could do it this way with the pointy end on top, or you can switch it and have the pointy end being the part that's attached to the head. So he's got these really big floppy ears. This is like the worst rabbit ever, because really I'm not even looking at the references anymore. I'm just baking it in. But I think you get the idea, sort of, maybe, what you want to do. He's like a really chubby rabbit. He's got some legs in the front. Again, you're probably going to be tempted to double up to hide those faces back there, but whoops. "15 minutes. It's going by so fast." This is like the most primitive looking bunny ever. Oh gosh. Wow. And I guess I'll use another one for his little tail there. I don't know, it's just something looks a little weird about it. There you go, that's like, you know, a 2-year-old's version of a bunny rabbit. But I really like the Hoogle statues. They're really good for making shapes. It really depends. Another good one is the ice rock blocks. And let's see, just the domes are really good. We saw the gargoyle that Bucky made for last month's challenge. We've seen similar bits used from, I think it was Aurora that used some of those as well. Tires have been really good for a black type of coloring. Um, Trying to think what else. Pillows, a lot of the pillows are pretty good. I think it just depends on what you're building. For the statues and stuff, a lot of people have been kind of sticking with the stone. I mean, we saw like the stone Pokemon that we had like a couple months ago, like the onyx. They use just the swirly stones for that. You could probably do the same. Like with the Shades Eve challenge, we had the trolls and such. Those are made out of stone. Um, you could probably do the same here. I even tried to make a gargoyle. I didn't really like how it turned out, so I haven't followed through on it. But you know, just experiment with different things, materials. I mean, if you're strictly going for a pure statue type of look, the stone type of bits would probably be your best bet to stick with. But it also depends on the coloring. Um, you know, while you're doing this for Kruja's museum build, you could also be thinking about maybe you do make some kind of a scary gargoyle type of looking structure, like sculpture or whatever. Um, the materials you use may look stone in a different lighting, like I think we saw on that one plot we visited before where they used the glacier pieces, but they didn't look icy at all, and it was due to the coloring on the plot, the sky bits or the interior lighting. Keep that in mind too. Now, I'm pretty sure with the museum build, it's going to be more like bright lights like we have in here, but I'm just saying, for those that like to find alternate uses for whatever they build, um, keep that in mind, that maybe you don't have to be restricted to purely just stone and rocks and stuff. You might be able to get away with other things. I mean, clearly I've been using other materials than just that. So, uh, but yeah, so hopefully you guys had fun today. I know it's kind of a rough and tumble bit of building today, and it's kind of short, but it's not necessarily entirely my fault. But you know, hot fixes and things do happen, and you just kind of have to work around it. But I'm glad we got to hook up today, especially since we missed yesterday due to my doctor's appointment and everything. But just again, a reminder, we won't be here Monday. I have a special uh, appointment obligation Monday morning, early. So I'm probably just going to deal with that, and then I'm going to go back to bed afterwards. So um, I'm just not going to push myself to try and do both. But we will be back Tuesday. Hopefully I'll have an updated version of the hedgehog that fits within the 50 limit. If not, I will figure out something else. I may just be too attached to him at that look and leave him as he is and use him somewhere else. But I hope if you haven't been really considering participating in this monthly challenge that you give it a try. It's a fun exercise. It's good practice. It helps you think outside the box, looking at items in different ways. And for those of us, even those of us that we might consider veterans to housing, I guarantee you it's definitely a good challenge to try and stay within that 50 cap limit. Because sometimes, like me, you just kind of start going crazy with all the things that you add and all the details, and then you have to kind of reel that back a bit. And it's really helpful because, as we've said before, a lot of these projects that we put together aren't necessarily practical for everyday use. You can make a chair out of 50 pieces, but one that's using only 3 is much more practical to use in everyday kind of builds than the 50-piece one, because with our decor limits set the way they are for having a fully custom build, that can be pretty problematic when you have everything that's, 50, 100, 200 pieces each. You can only fit so many of those into a single build. So making us restrict that to that 50 count allows us to really uh, spread our wings a bit more. I know for a fact, like a lot of these have already been moved over to my own museum build, Cilantro. For the longest, this place has been relatively empty. I had a couple of paintings up, which I may block off so that it doesn't confuse Puja when they come through here to check out the pieces. But I've actually been able to line up most of the statues already, just throughout the museum part. I've had to add in some lighting to help make them show up a little better, but you can see they're all kind of strewn out through here. I'm even going to be moving the paintings over, but I guarantee you, if it had been my usual builds of like this one that's probably 200 pieces easy, you could only maybe fit 3 or 4 in here and then you're done. But with that 50 limit, it really does open up the opportunity to fill in a place and make it look like what you intended, a museum full of artwork. And so that's really helped give me a reason to fill this place up again. But we will see how it turns out. Obviously, there's some things, like it looks like it's a headless peacock until you get close. There are those things, but I think overall it's turning out pretty good. I'm quite delighted, and I'm looking forward to anyone else that's going to participate. So that means you, Poi, and Aurora, and everyone else that usually gets involved in these things. I hope you guys find a little bit of time to put at least one thing together. Or if nothing else, find something you've already made that you can submit that fits the criteria. That would be welcome as well. So yeah, again, hot fix coming in. It's only supposed to last about 45 minutes, so this will be time to take a good, food break, get a stretch, go for a little walk, do whatever you got to do, and then come back and do your playtime afterwards. In the meantime, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate the follows, the tweets, the retweets, the company in the chat. Those of you that have been hosting the channel, I certainly appreciate that. And the votes, all the other stuff, it's all very much welcome, very much appreciated. And hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Again, I'll see you Tuesday. We're not going to be here Monday. I'll see you Tuesday. Until then, good luck with whatever you happen to be working on, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.